All right, welcome back, fellow TFFL owners, to another TFFL webcast. It is Wednesday this week, Wednesday, November 29th. Let me start right away with our panel introductions. Chief, our commissioner, skipper of the Sponge Fishermen, first place in the So-So West. Welcome.
It's good to be here. By here, I mean first place in the So-So West.
First place, controlling your own destiny. Berto, also 7-6 for Jack's Giant Killers, also controlling his own destiny. Welcome.
Hi, Stick, and a shout out to our live viewing audience. Potentially, not definitely.
We've lost at least one of them because we've got. Let me get right to him. Our guest tonight, Bill, the Slippery Beavers, also at 7-6. Is that correct?
7-5.
Yeah, we got potential for half a dozen 7-6 teams by the time.
Right. I'm just tickled to be here, but unfortunately, I think it's going to skew our Nielsen ratings back to where they were before. But anyway, I am still live.
Even though you're not watching us, I believe we may have at least one, if not a couple other owners watching live tonight.
Excellent.
Yep.
Great.
Hey, trade offers. Well, we can't trade. That's
no.
Yeah, we only got that done.
And Hank, czar and CEO of the K-Wheels, back today from his golf trip down in North Carolina?
South Carolina. After you kick the shit out of the Amsterdam Packers, you go on a little trip to South Carolina, have a little few days of enjoyment.
That was your Pack Bowl. That's great.
All right, well done.
Yes.
Well deserved. All right, so we are action looking ahead to week 13. Can you guys feel this? Can you feel that this is going to be a very special, very emotional TFFL webcast tonight?
Absolutely.
So out there, I want you to tune in, listen up, focus. This is going to be a good one. It is the last week of our regular season. I was about to tell everybody it's the last week to sign free agents, but we're going to hear more about that later. We got lots of playoff spots at stake. We've already hinted at all the teams sitting right there at that 7-6 line. And I think somebody who gets to 7-6 probably isn't going to make the playoffs this year. We have a showdown for the number 1 overall pick on the other side. K-Wheels, Mongols going head-to-head for the number 1 overall pick. Looking back real quick, the Amsterdam Packers pursuing a record-tying 12-1 season, as Hank just noted, derailed. So they will not be able to tie that record. And we got 2 big streaks still going. Boba Fett's 8 straight wins. Hormel Ham's 8 straight losses. Now continuing into week 13. All right, lots to talk about. But as always, let's get started with a TFFL trivia question for you to think about while we chat tonight. Did a little research. And I'm looking for the 2 TFFL franchises with the fewest lifetime winning seasons. And in the case of the Sponge and the Giant Killers, I'm including winning seasons by your predecessors. Two franchises tied for the fewest lifetime winning seasons. One other note, in case you're trying to do some crazy math, I am not giving credit for anybody who has 7 wins in 2017. The season is not over. I'm not going to call it a winning season quite yet.
Okay.
And it might skew the answer that I wanted. All right, Hank. Tee us up with TFFL standings. I think you're going to hand some of this off over to Berto to break down some of the tiebreakers, but set us up for the conversation ahead here.
Yeah, we're going to have a group effort here tonight as the standings and all the things that involve themselves. 12 weeks. 12 weeks. We stand. No Cody. Amsterdam Packers. The NoCo West. Global Fats. The So-So, where we have got the Sponge and the janitor. The janitor looking at week for the month. So East. The Sleepers have also hosted. So then that leaves us for luck. That's what we're going to get into. We've got the alien, giant killer, and the loser of the sponge game as where this all can play out. So with that as a big Birdo, maybe we go for some permutations on how this could shape out.
We're getting feedback. Goes. You guys heard that?
Yeah, we got some feedback.
Yeah, I understood none of that. Good thing I could read it.
I'm with Chief. I didn't hear a single thing.
Yeah, we're getting a big double right now. Birdo, mute yourself here. I'm going to mute myself too.
Yep.
All right, let's have Birdo unmute and go with giving us the permutations you got.
Okay. Can you hear me clearly? All right. At least for the killers, this may not be readable, but I came up with 8 scenarios. I don't know if that's readable, maybe not. But essentially, the killers' playoff hopes come down to either we win and we're in, the sponge win and the killers are in, or the lizards beat the aliens and the killers are in. So that's our scenario. So 7 of 8 possible outcomes, at least for the killers, and we're in. So, Chief, I'll let you go through your scenario for the sponge to get in.
Just a second. Could Phil go through those quickly again if we're all muted, and then it'll work?
Yeah, I'm happy to. Really quickly. Northern Conference, AMPAC, and Boba Fett are division champions. All right. We'll see who gets the conference this week based on records. The Sponge and the Janitors are playing in basically a de facto SoCo West or So-So West championship game for the division. And the Beavers have clinched their division. So those are going to be your 4 division winners. And then the loser of the So-So West game, as well as the Aliens and Giant Killers, are then in the mathematical fallout of 2 of those 3 are going to be our wild card teams. Everybody else, the guys below the line, we're out. We're done. We got nothing. So that's where we are.
All right. So I went through the killers. Chief, I can go through the sponge or you can go through the sponge. But essentially, correct me if I'm wrong here, the sponge are in, obviously, with a win. They win the division. If the sponge lose, either the killers or the aliens need to lose. If that happens, then the sponge are in. If the sponge win and the Beavers lose, the sponge will win the conference. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. That's correct.
So
If I'm right, the Beavers' magic number is 1. Either we win or the Sponge lose, and then we get the conference.
right.
Yeah. Now the Senators. So the Senators win. They win the division. And if either the so we already went through that. So the Sponge will get the wild. Either the alien will lose. And then for the aliens, and Stick chime in here too. The aliens need a killer's loss or
Stick, it's you on the echo.
I agree.
yes. So anyway, so the aliens the aliens will be in with a killer's loss and a Sponge win, because the Sponge will win the division and the aliens will be in with the Senators. If the killers and Sponge,
You're confusing yourself now.
Yeah, now we're getting
go through the aliens.
Senators will not be a wild card team.
no.
Okay.
Senators got to win or they're out.
Right. Okay.
So whichever of the aliens or giant killers gets to 8 wins makes the wild card. If neither does, then giant killer's gonna get it. If the Sponge win, then they both make it.
Mm-hmm. I think that's right. at any rate, the win and there's opportunity, but yeah, the Senators' only opportunity is to win.
Yes, they need to win the division, right?
Yep. There you go. So it's gonna get exciting. This is it. This is playoffs here. Senators, Killers, Aliens, Sponge. You guys got a lot to play for.
All right, so let me clarify. I think I may be causing the echo. I have
You
no idea why. Am I echoing when I talk?
Not right now, no.
I'm just causing an echo when you guys are talking and I'm not muted.
It seems as though it's not a problem right this minute. I think if you unmute yourself, I think we might be okay. I think we're okay.
All right. Okay. Well, let's move into our roundtable chat. First up, let's grill our guest on the hot seat here. Bill Thornburg, eye on the Slippery Beavers tonight. Berto, take charge. We'll all chime in with some questions. Bill, you're going to be talking a lot more later on with our draft preview. So enjoy the spotlight here on the TFFL webcast tonight.
I'm glad to be here and glad to be sharing my wealth of knowledge.
So Bill, thanks for being a live watcher of the webcast. It's great. I guess the first question is, where's Shive at this point? Shive was part of a trivia question last week. Is he at all engaged? Is he talking to you about trades? Are you bouncing things off him? You know, we talked to Badass last week about his engagement, and I think it's pretty high from a minority owner. Where's Shively at this point?
Well, it's more about establishing a team ethos with Shively that we then carry on throughout the season. And so while he may not participate on a operational level, there's a lot of strategic banter that goes on. Especially, we're going to have a lot of discussion about our quarterbacks in the offseason. He's very vocal. He wanted us to go with, and rightly so at this point, with Kirk Cousins a while ago, and that might have been a good backup for this year or the year before. So, okay. We have our conversations when they're necessary.
All right. So the message is he's engaged. You guys are communicating, and
we're definitely communicating. Whether it's as on a daily basis, no, but
the TFL is a family. We want to make sure that we're not leaving someone behind. We want to make sure that Shive is involved and included, and we're not going to lose him. So that's
fully engaged, and I have a commitment from him that he's going to make his darndest to be at next year's draft.
All right. Very good. How do the Beavers define success for 2017? So I think there was some talk on these webcasts that maybe the Beavers didn't do enough to potentially secure the SoCo. I guess, do you agree with that? There's money on the line with that, but more importantly, there's a first-round bye. And I don't think that can be disputed that getting that first round bye is just essential to a Pac Bowl run. So do you think you did enough? It's the first part of the question. And then the second part, what defines success for 2017? Is it just making the Pac Bowl? Is it winning the Pac Bowl?
From the first part standpoint, in order to upgrade this team from where it was, I think if you look at from the running back, wide receiver, quarterback situation, we've got guys who are constantly in the top 10 and top 15, and then we're usually not putting out guys who are in the lower 20s in rankings for the week, and it showed that we've been consistently average or above average, which is why we're number 3 on Chiefs rotating rankings regularly. It might not be that we have the superstars, but we're able to do that. So in the fact that we could not have gone out and gotten somebody who would have made a great leap for us, we weren't going to do that. So I would say our strategy to this point has been what we wanted to do.
Okay.
And the second part was sorry. What was that? Oh, come on. Yeah, it was good.
What defines success this year? We're just getting to the Pac Bowl success.
Yeah. Well, no, well, first of all, we got to get by the Devils this weekend, and that's going to be, we got to do that. But if we do that, then we can stick mute. Yeah. Then I think, I would think that the Pac Bowl is our destiny. That's where we're going to go. And it's going to come down to, obviously, Jared Goff and all our guys being healthy and stuff, and maybe even Rodgers starting. There's a lot of moving pieces going on, but I would think if we beat the Devils, then we want to be in the Pac Bowl. I think we can be and could be in the Pac Bowl.
So speaking of Goff, who's the starting quarterback for the Beavers next year? If you had to put odds on those two, who is it?
I don't know. They're both. I mean, they're pluses and minuses. This is way too early, and I'm sure there are other teams that are gonna think about both of them in different ways. So we're gonna stick with what we got right now, because that's what we're scared about. Which one do we choose each week?
That's a bullshit answer. Who's your quarterback in 2018? You have to make a pick right now.
What do you got, Thornburg?
Make a pick right now. I think we're
a projection. I can make a projection. I would project that Jared Goff would be our starting quarterback next year.
Wow. See, there's news. That's great. Breaking news in the TFFL. Aaron Rodgers can be had.
This is big news. I mean, this is a huge shift.
That could be 55, 45, 50, who knows, right? At this point.
You could, to your point, right? And I think the reason why Phil and Stick were anxious to just get something out there, but your mind could change 10 times between now and the end of.
And the value that someone else puts on either Rodgers or Goff that we don't see or do see, that's going to make a lot too. Obviously, we wouldn't want to keep both of them.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to ask one more question, and I'm going to turn it over to somebody else. But so your role as rules chair under a new administration, are you planning on sticking with rules chair for next year? And what's one rule that you think should be implemented?
Absolutely. I think that's a rule that I want to take on, and obviously we have new sort of a layout with how rules get approved before they get on the ballot, and we'll be talking through that. I think I was going to do some rules chairman things later on, or do you want me to do that now? No.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, one thing I want to see is get rid of the 60-yard field goal thing, whatever that was. The 10 points or how many points he got for that.
I kind of like that. Let's keep that.
I think I would say that any field goal is 3 points.
Or make a rule that if the field goal is kicked in Mexico City, it's only worth 5.
It's only worth 2.
All right. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Phil. I'll send it over to you.
Well, Thorny, I don't want to get too far ahead of us on the webcast here, but how much college football are you watching these days? And are you well steeped in what we'll be looking at for coming out here?
I'm watching basically, like on Saturday, probably 9 hours worth.
Are you?
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, that's it though. That after this weekend, it's then it's
just the life of a bachelor.
It's done.
Yes.
Yeah. I gotta find some.
I watched none, so I'm counting on you.
I'm gonna get some cricket highlights or something. Maybe I'll get the cricket webcast.
Very
something.
nice.
Gotta get my juice.
Back to the Beavers though. How you feeling? You got a chance this weekend?
I wasn't doing that silly. I really want the Devils. I mean, they just look what they did last week. I mean, it's so volatile. We've seen scores up and down so hard. I mean, 1 week the Impact scores 100, next one they're doing 40 or something. I mean, so I really just want to beat the Devils once I get through that. But I'm very confident because, it's not like we have a lot of volatile guys. Our guys just basically do their thing. They get their yards, and every once in a while throw a touchdown in there, and then we score a big point. But a lot of time, we're just very low. It's good. We don't. But my only fear is that we don't have those spectacular kind of things. We need more of those guys to do those 20-point nights, the 15-point nights, and stuff like that. Other than the quarterback, and we haven't seen that just yet.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like Moneyball. You expect it all to come through, but when it comes into clutch, we're not sure that we can really deliver yet.
Are you confident that Le'Veon Bell is going to be your rock center as we get into the stretch here?
Yardage, fine. These touchdowns have been like crap, though. I mean, I'm watching the games and I'm going, they get down to the goal line. Ben does some kind of play action to Jesse James or something. But he's still getting 9-10 points a game, in there, even with, and an interesting thing. I wanted to see if anybody has seen a difference in when we've added the rushing and receiving yards together. Have you seen an impact more than just the 1 point we talked about? Has it been more dramatic, less dramatic? Have you noticed any difference in how you feel about a play or anything? That was a rule change from last year.
Yeah, I really like it. And I like it just because I feel like it gets you closer to getting points quicker. I don't know that it's had any impact. It just feels a little better because the running backs are catching more passes these days. And I like it.
Listen, I think if Phil signs off on it and Phil is anti-change, then it's a success.
Yeah, I like it.
Phil surely voted against that rule.
No, I vote against everything. So yeah.
Did you vote against everything, Phil?
Yeah.
A white ballot, no's?
Yeah, no, I'm sure I voted against it, but I do like it. It's good.
All right. Chief, anything from you?
Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous because I keep on freezing up here. Hopefully that won't happen now. But how do you see the relationship within your division? I know the SoCo West, we are very competitive. We're always talking, Michael and Kevin and myself. I know the NoCo East has a very competitive, very intense rivalry through those three teams. You have Nick, but beyond that, explain. Do you talk to the guys much? How competitive is your division? Not just on the field, but the whole team building thing.
Well, I would first want to say that Nick has been more engaged than usual this year, and I think everybody would agree with that. We've seen him chiming in on conversations here and there, and it may not be as loquacious as we would like, but I think we're really seeing that he's trying to get involved. As far as me and Terry, I mean, we're talking when it needs be. We talk about other stuff all the time, but when it comes down to what we have to, I don't think it needs to be a daily thing. But I think when it's necessary, we all know when to talk to each other and when to pass on. It's not a rivalry. I really can't say that everybody hates anybody. I mean, it's not Ravens and Steelers or something like that. And nobody really wants to beat the other guy unless it really matters in the
It's not Killer's Wheels or
no.
Pack.
Yeah, it's kind of like when the AFC Central was first put together. It was like you got some weird teams that used to be in the East and teams used to be in the West, and first they got to figure out how they hate each other. But we just don't have any animosities. But we talk and we chat, and Nick has been texting back and forth. So
I'll offer that the Beavers have been the dominant franchise in that division for a while.
We've won our fair share, yeah.
As of late, maybe Devils have owned that division.
Yeah, of course, the Devils have a
part two of that question.
But the Devils have
part two of that question is, how's my sweatshirt read to you right now? Is it backwards in your screen?
No, yours is straight. Is mine backwards?
It's backwards on mine. It's really bothering me.
Remember, all the views, you're seeing a mirror of yourself.
Is mine straight?
Yes, it's going to be backwards to you, but it all reads great to us. You're looking good.
And the reason I ask is I've got a picture from
week 15. Week 15.
A Patriots-Washington game about 6 years ago, and I was wearing this sweatshirt, and my friend's wife took a picture. In the photograph, this sweatshirt came out backwards. It's bizarre. It's like a satanic sweatshirt. I don't know. But I wanted to by the time I watched the playback, I had forgotten all about it. So I wanted to see what would happen now.
If I have a question for you, did you substitute scotch for beer tonight?
No, in fact, I've drank very little the last few days.
Okay.
So maybe I'm off balance that way.
Fair enough.
So, Bill, as obviously one of our most devoted viewers, first off, thank you very much. Really do appreciate it.
Engagement.
It is fun knowing people are watching live or just watching in general, but especially watching live. Give us some quick feedback as a regular viewer. Too long sometimes, or is an hour still feel right the way we're doing it?
I think it feels right now. I think you guys have evolved, and I think the scheduling is, the structure of the scheduling has gotten better. Kind of keeping things move along. I got to tell you that one thing when I was watching and you said, and you believe it or not, everybody goes, what? Berto's like, what? Everybody's like thinking it's like somebody from Singapore watching or something. That somebody found the thing.
I was hoping it was somebody from Singapore, not you, but it's you, so that's fine.
And then later on, watching Phil when he put his thumbs up when the trade was delivered, and he looked over his phone and he goes, "Oh yeah, I'll do that," and it goes like that, and I was just losing. I literally was losing it when I was watching that.
Hey, and Philip Rivers paid off big fee this week. He came through with the dude. No, that was for Chief. Sorry, Chief. We made that trade. Our trade was different. Yeah,
the kicker trade too. When the first live broadcast.
Singapore is the next market, by the way. We're going to go market by market. So
that's how we're going to monetize, huh? Well, you got to get me off. We're going to get our Nielsen's up.
All right, let's switch gears and move on here. Time for a big gut check. We got. I think we have 4 teams on the panel right now, excluding K-Wheel's not included in that, who could finish at 7-6. The Beavers, as we've already talked about, are in. So I want to focus on the 3 teams: the Aliens, the Sponge, the Giant Killers. 3 teams, playoff berth at stake, season on the line. How anxious or nervous are you guys? What lineup decisions are you fretting over? Maybe waiting until the last minute to decide on. How upset are you going to be if you don't make the playoffs? I want to get inside our minds here. I want to try to really expose what it's like in these final days of the regular season with everything on the line. Let's start with you, Chief, because you've got the biggest game of the week going head-to-head for the division battle. How confident are you? How worried are you? What's it going to be like if it doesn't go right next week?
Well, I'm always worried. I'm nervous every game. I mean, the Patriots play the Browns, I get nervous too. It's just one of those things. That being said, I'm confident. I need one of 3 teams to lose, to make the playoffs. And one of them I directly influence. So I'm confident I'll make the playoffs. I'm not sure if it will be a division or a wild card. But I feel good about the Giant Killers losing, for example, to the Impact. I don't really have too many choices to make. If Amari Cooper's healthy and he plays, he's in. If he's not, Jermaine Kearse goes in. Besides, everything's set. There's no other really tough decisions for me, I don't think. Maybe if Geno Smith wasn't quarterbacking, I could throw Sterling Shepard against the Raiders, and that would be a good matchup. But Geno Smith is starting. And listen, I have the active streak of not making the playoffs. I don't think I've made the playoffs since I've been commissioner. I think I've missed the last 3 years. I've missed at least the last 2. I think I've missed the last 3. And I'm always 6 or 7 or 7-6. Maybe one year I was 5-7-1 or something. Yeah, it sucks. I hate to say get used to it, but man, if getting your hopes up, especially when I was basically 1 loss away from playing for next year, back around week 6 or so, and to come this far and to get the streak and to be playing really good fantasy football, it would hurt not making the playoffs this year. It hurt a lot. In fact, if I miss the playoffs, I'm not commissioner next year.
So if you make the playoffs, you will be. Is that something?
If I make the playoffs, I'll make that decision at that time.
Wow.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Dude, we got to get the Senators to lose. We got to pay Kramer.
Kramer, you might want to tank, man.
Huge news.
That's
you got to watch live.
Oh man,
that's
breaking news. We need everybody cheering for the Sponge this week. In that case,
I am.
Keep Chief on the job.
I'm rooting for the Sponge. Bill, why don't you go next?
What for what? For the K-Wheels?
No. Bill.
Oh,
For
Bill.
the, nervousness about the playoffs.
Well, I'm already in the playoffs. I'm
Winning the conference. That's a big.
It comes down to, again, and I keep repeating myself, but I beating the Devils. So we beat the Devils, we win the SoCo, we get the bye week. Then we worry about week 15.
Don't watch too much coach speak. Let's just win one game at a time. Look at the challenge in front of us.
James Franklin. Say, beat Devils.
Stick, what are you doing with the aliens headquarters? You feel a little nervous over there?
I'm apoplectic. I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose to the Lizards, and I'm going to miss the playoffs.
Why do you say that? The Lizards have been terrible lately.
I got Carson. I got all my Eagles players going against Seattle.
Not scary.
Seattle's defense has been shattered. They lost Cam Chancellor and they lost Richard Sherman.
I think
they've given up points.
You're surprised that game's going to be higher scoring.
I haven't made a lot of decisions yet, but they're not great matchups. I've made a couple bad lineup decisions in recent weeks. I've made some good lineup decisions in recent weeks too, but I've made a couple bad ones. I have a good deep team. I do not have guys who are playing very strong right now at the top of the lineup. I've lost 3 out of 4 games. 2 of those games I was scoring in the 60s, so I don't feel too bad about it. But I don't feel good about where we are right now all of a sudden. And I don't hold any of the tiebreakers with the Giant Killers, the Sponge, the Senators. I have to win. The Senators could lose, and that would get me in 2. But I don't want to put myself in that position, and I'm worried about beating the Lizards. So yeah, this is, and I will obviously not be very happy if I'm not very happy right now because I'm very worried about it. I'll be even less happy next week because I feel like I've got a good team. I just don't have 2 or 3 running backs or receivers who are playing great right now. I feel like you look at my bench, I've got 3 running backs on my bench who could be a starting trio for somebody else this week or for me this week even. I've got 6 good running backs who are playing, but not enough strong guys who I think are going to get me 80 points right now. So we'll see.
So
Berto?
Yeah, so the Killers, everything for me right now is gravy. This team wasn't very good, but we've gotten better. We didn't have any of these 3 running backs on the roster. Well, actually, Alfred Morris, I guess I did. I drafted him and then dropped him and then traded for him. But nevertheless, the 3 running backs that are in there right now are guys that have been traded for. And I didn't pay a lot for them. And so we kind of rebuilt the running back core on the fly here. It's not great, but I've had my 2 best weeks. I'm on the upswing. So if I don't make it, I'll be disappointed. I want to make the playoffs every year. But I also look at, I'm pretty confident though, because I think most scenarios I'm going to, I should make the playoffs, barring, everything going wrong this week. I'll be in the playoffs. And then anything can happen. It's all about getting in. And I can see, and I know Stick's frustration about not making it in. If you have a good team, I didn't have a good team for much of the year, but I think the team has gotten a lot better. So if I make it, great. I think we can win a game or 2 for sure.
Phil, is there a trade that you will target as the one that put the Killers over the limit, and then take out a personal vendetta on the person who made that trade?
Well, no, I can't say that. I think that my point has been fairly consistent that the Killers have been awesome. They have been running over us and me specifically. So yes, it hurts. It's closer to the bones for me. But why would you want to help this team? This team should get no sympathy and no extra assistance in their efforts to win more titles. They've shown repeatedly that if they get in, they're as dangerous as anyone to win it. And that's all it takes for this team is that If the Killers get in at 7-6, they're the favorite. Over the Beavers, over the Ampac. The Ampac are crumbling. The K-Wheels just beat the Ampac. Killers are the favorite until they're out.
All right, and one final note here. It is going to be possible, and hopefully this will happen. We can all be in good spirits next week. Aliens, Sponge, Giant Killers all can make the playoffs together, which would certainly make for a livelier webcast in the weeks ahead.
This is true.
Good luck to all of us.
That should be the hope right now.
Yes. Let's turn this over to Bill once again. Bill, you're going to get 5 minutes or so here. I fear we're starting to run long, so let's try to keep this tight. But this is a segment we look forward to every year. Bill, especially for those teams already out of the playoffs, those of us who in a week might be out of the playoffs. Bill's going to tell us what the top of the TFFL draft is looking like. Maybe give us a sleeper or two to watch as the combine comes in the months ahead. Bill, get us excited about next year's crop of players.
Well, I would love to get you excited. Unfortunately, it's not an exciting draft. There are, last year's crop of running backs, I don't think we've seen that. I can't recall anything like that. That was a lot of good running backs, and we've yet to see them all come to fruition, but I think we could see the talent in each one of them that were taken. Even if you consider Kamara was taken the second round, it's just going to be a one that's going to go down as pretty historic. Next year, you've got Barkley, who is in that category. He's in the Fournette. He might be better than Fournette. And this is, yes, I'm biased, but the guy is, you've seen his highlights on what he can do. Given the right offense and what he can, run hard out of the backfield, do everything you want, kick return, although I don't know why you do that. You've got a couple guys who might make it into the sort of, picture, depending on what position, which team they get in. As far as running backs, again, Darius Geis at LSU and Bryce Love at Stanford, but none of them. And first of all, Bryce Love is not the McCaffrey Stanford kind of running back. He's not the same kind of guy. He is. Who's getting feedback? Somebody is muted. There we go. Okay. Thank you, Stick. So Bryce Love is not the Christian McCaffrey kind of running back who's going to do the same kind of things. He's only about 190 pounds, even less I've seen. I'll tell you an interesting guy I like is, and I've watched this guy on Notre Dame, is Josh Adams, who's like 6'2", 220. And he reminds me a lot of Robert Smith. Remember we used to play that kind of long, kind of big stepping running back? The guy just gallops a lot of yardage up in there. And depending on how he combines out, because it might be a question of speed, but he's 6'2". He's big. We're talking a big kid, like a Le'Veon Bell kid, but this guy's got a lot more straight line speed. From the wide receiver aspect, again.
What school? I'm sorry, what school does he go
to? Notre Dame. His name is Josh Adams. I've seen him in a couple games because Notre Dame's on the team all the time. On TV, and he's just a big kind of. He looks like a natural runner, but his legs just kind of. You all remember what Robert Smith looked like, and if you see some highlights, you'll know what you're talking about. As far as wide receivers, I can't say that there's anything that jumps out at you. You've got a kid out of Alabama. Everybody likes them, Calvin Ridley, but nobody really is jumping out. It's a quarterback heavy draft. There's going to be like 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round this year, and maybe even 6. So people are just going to go sick for quarterbacks. So it's not, unfortunately, once you get past 1, 2, and I bet there'll be a third back who'll come in there. I can't predict it other than somebody who I've seen a lot is the Notre Dame kid, but it's just not a impact draft like last year was. You look at the impact we had last year. It's just ridiculous, top and down. From you've got 9 guys right now who are starting and playing regular, or will be, or whether injuries or whatever. But at the time, so sadly, I can't deliver great knowledge. Now we might have guys who come out. An interesting other guy is the Georgia guy, Nick Chubb, running back, who obviously he had one of the worst knee injuries I ever saw, and he's been out for like 18 months, and he's finally got himself back. He was played a little bit last year. Now he's playing full. Just a character guy, really like, and there's potential there. But it's just not a spectacular running back draft, not a spectacular wide receiver draft. A lot of quarterbacks, and no one's going to draft quarterbacks in the first round. So
yeah, I was a big fan of Chubb. He seems like he's been in Georgia for about 7 years now. But
Yeah, I think this is his 5th year right now. Yeah.
But a Miami running back, Mark Walton, declared for the draft today. Do you know anything about him?
I don't. I did watch the Pitt game, and they got shut down by Pitt. So I don't know. Maybe he's a hardship case or something. I didn't see anybody that was spectacular.
I watched him. I read a little bit that Miami had a pretty good running back, and I looked, and he did nothing this past weekend. So, who knows? And Nick Chubb, too, you're right. He's been being. I feel like we've talked about him for 3 or 4 years as a guy who's going to be an impact in the NFL. And
well, I may be mistaken, but didn't he hurt his knee in the last play of what could have been his year that he was going to come out, and then he had to go through the whole thing next year, and then the year after he played half of it, and now finally he's healthy now, and they've got another kid. So but you'd like to see something happen. I mean, people like Ajayi. Nobody thought Ajayi was going to keep going because he has no ACL or something. So. It's Hines Ward played without with basically no ligaments in his knee. He just had such great muscle strength. So I don't know, but I do know that I like the kid. I like when he's healthy. He was amazing. I mean, there were some highlights there. Quarterbacks, a lot of quarterbacks.
Who's your pick of the quarterback litter? I know you said none of them will go in the TFFL's first round, but one of these guys must have the potential to be a stud down the line. Who do you like?
Sorry, I was muted there. I mean, I'd like to say Sam Darnold, but he never wowed. His turnover margin was ridiculous. And Baker Mayfield, it looks like a Johnny Manziel clone.
It's going to be Josh Rosen or Josh Allen.
Josh Rosen. Unfortunately, Lamar Jackson, he's another guy who peaked as a freshman or whatever when he came in. It was awesome for Louisville. So again, they're going to be somebody's going to take these guys, and they're getting younger and younger and playing less and less, and they want instant results, and they're not going to be there. I mean, both Wentz and Goff took a full year of hard knocks. Goff less, but Wentz really did. I mean, Watkins sort of was just, he was running the same offense he was running in college, so it didn't matter. But I just, it's interesting how it happens. Again, I fall back on it. It's just not going to be a blockbuster draft. You've got 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 guys who will be people that you want to get, and the rest of it's going to be falling, how you get lucky in the 3rd round or 5th round or 7th round.
Thank you, Bill. All right, let's.
We're going to talk more about that during draft time. When draft time,
we certainly will. We certainly will.
Good. Thanks, Bill.
So, one last topic. It's an important one. Chief is wrapping up now. We've hinted at this a little bit, or Chief just brought this up, but 4 years as commissioner. Potentially his last regular season game overseeing the league here. It has been an exceptional run, Chief. And maybe it will continue, but an exceptional run. I think a lot of leagues at this point might be starting to fray a little bit, maybe owners dropping in and out. TFFL is stronger than ever. A variety of innovations over the last 4 years of various kinds that have been great. I think we'd all agree a steady hand leading us over these 4 years. Some great drafts getting us all down last year in the face of Hurricane Irma. As you told us all in your speech down there, much more engagement by everybody. And you've been leading the charge there. Very well done. Thank you. So as part of this very special TFFL webcast, I didn't just want to thank you. I wanted to reach out and make sure our panel had a chance to cite some of the things that they're all most grateful for from your commissionership. And we might even hear from some fellow owners out there tonight. But why don't we go through the panel here to start?
All right. I'll kick it off. So 2 terms. Amazing. The other thing, I don't think Chief really ever missed a commissioner report, rarely missed a commissioner report. Occasionally a guest writer, but in 2 terms, not having many fill-ins was awesome. So as Stick said, a steady hand and a solidifying force. But I wanted to take a little bit of a different approach. I just wanted to read a couple adjectives of what Chief was as a commissioner and what he wasn't. So what Chief was as a commissioner: stoic, steady, unflappable, humorous, creative, intelligent, hardworking, tenacious, understanding, conscientious, diligent, insightful, accessible, and most importantly, engaged. So that was Chief as a commissioner. What Chief wasn't was impulsive, reactionary, lazy, evasive, dull, or disengaged. And that is extremely important. So Chief loves this league. I think, like we all do, but I think he found even a special love with it, having 2 terms as commissioner. And the reason why I think that's important to bring that up is we're gonna have a new commissioner in place. And we need to make sure, and I know we've had this conversation before, but we need to make sure that that new commissioner, whether it's Terry or somebody else, realizes that your involvement and your engagement in this league is going to amplify, and it's going to step up quite a bit. And Chief was certainly very up to the task. He set the tone for the league, and Stick, as you pointed out rightly, it's never been stronger.
Wow, nice work, Berto. I echo all of that. Chief, you've really helped us keep this league going. And I think as we all get older and as we all have different life things pulling at us, having somebody who's steering and driving things and making sure everybody's going and getting the commissioner report and reading that every week is a treat. And it's part of the best 10 minutes of the week. And you're great at it. And I will miss those for many reasons. But having that steadiness at the commissioner slot, who's able to get the owners engaged, to get everybody, doing something, is incredibly important. And you've done it masterfully. And there's big shoes to fill. And I personally thank you for putting so much into it. We do have the best fantasy football league on the planet. And it's largely because people taking the lead and making things happen. So thank you. And good luck to Terry. Jesus.
I'll take my shot here. Best year shot. Funny thing, when this issue was proposed, I just quickly wrote down not as many words, obviously, as Berto, but some quick words. And the 3 that came out the most were stoically herding cats. That's really just kind of set what I figured was the reign of our chiefy. Another thing that I think just goes amiss, and this is more of a testament to Chief as himself, is nobody brings it on Sunday on draft weekend like Chief. And I think that's we've forgotten about that. I mean, there's a lot of people who kind of hem and haw, and well, okay, I'll have a couple, whatever. But this is like, that's important. That's important to us. And I want to celebrate not only his commissionership aspects, but also his ability to bring it when it needs to be brung. So thank you, Chiefy. We love you. And if I don't win the Pac Bowl, I'd rather have you win the Pac Bowl, so then you'll be commissioner again.
Yeah, let's get that right. Sponge win that he's back in.
No, I believe I started to make that decision when it happened. I didn't say the decision was going to be different.
Oh, let's get you into it. Let's back in.
I will let me remind all the owners of some of the innovations from Chief that we haven't talked about among everything else here. This webcast, correct me if I'm wrong, kicked off under Chief.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was. I think it was Berto's inspiration from his other league, but I believe kicked off under Chief. I don't engage with it as much as I should, but the Twitter feed, another new innovation, all sorts of high tech innovations under Chief's reign. And one other thing for me, real quick, as a journalist, as I like to say, I have to say, I think I've said this before. I hope I have. Chief is a great writer. The report is great in many respects. It's very digestible. It's well well-crafted content with lots of entry points. You can, jump into the RAR real quick and get a different take on things. You get your key free agent info. You get the photos, of course. But beyond all that, it is well written. It is crafty. It is funny. You can read the other team's write-ups and not get bored. It's very enjoyable. Chief, I think I've said this before. My wife every once in a while will read a report up. Not the most current reports. I tend to shield those. But in years past, she has seen reports and laughed and enjoyed reading about the TFFL.
I show my wife.
Very good writer.
That doesn't go over well, but anyway.
Sorry, did you say you showed
All right, I mentioned.
Didn't we all just read the articles anyway?
Right.
It's just for the article. That's it.
We also have some feedback from other owners not on the webcast. So let me pull out the TFFL mailbag. A lot of catalogs coming to the TFFL.
A lot in there.
A lot of catalogs, but a couple letters in here. A couple letters in with the catalogs. This one's from Kevin Kramer, who says Chief will go down as one of the top 3 commissioners to ever come out of the Southern Conference Western Division. He shepherded the TFFL with a firm and fair hand. When those very few controversies arose during his 4 years, he handled the matter swiftly, seeking counsel from his kitchen cabinet only when necessary. Each commissioner brings his own flair and leaves his own legacy. Chief's legacy will be the weekly webcasts that he co-hosted, his stellar writing style, and the speed with which he delivered weekly TFFL reports. I would guess that more than 95% of all TFFL reports were delivered on Tuesday, with most of them waiting for you to read during your Tuesday morning dump. His rolling average was hokey and left me nonplussed, but he took the time to compile it. His dedication to the league is likely unmatched, and as the immediate past commissioner, he will be an excellent mentor to Commissioner-elect Rogers. That's Kevin Kramer. Thank you,
Nice.
Kramer. One more, and I'll try to be brief here, but people have a lot to share about Chief. This one's from Ralph. The best thing I can think of about Chief's run as commissioner is nothing. No real drama, no real controversy. The proverbial train ran on time. Even in a hurricane, that takes a lot of work. Like many of us, owner Chief has strong opinions, isn't afraid to tell you you're wrong, and doesn't back down. But as TFFL commissioner, Chief was more than fair, sought out information and opinions before making decisions. Bravo. I'll miss the analysis, the frequently comically wrong analysis in his commissioner reports. And in the middle-aged TFFL, Terry should take note of how Chief drove engagement with on-time and entertaining reports, keeping the essential document updated, and as best he could, making damn sure all owners made it to the draft. Real quick, to thank our writers, let's reach into the TFFL treasure chest.
That looks like suspiciously like the mailbag.
Yeah, I know we got to upgrade our supplies. So this one is going to be for Kramer. Let's see what we have. An Eagles fun pack. An Eagles fun pack for Kevin Kramer. We've got an Eagles team card celebrating a Deshaun Jackson touchdown.
Yeah, that's fun.
Brian Westbrook.
Wow, look at that.
And Asante Samuel. Eagles fun pack coming the way of the Senators.
Trade those in, buy some Bitcoins.
Ralph. We have a Russell Wilson fathead, mini fathead. All right, that'll be in the mail soon, maybe along with a Christmas card.
Those are good gifts. Got some good gifts for the letters.
Those are excellent gifts.
I am going to save this to my phone so I can play it for my next performance review. I don't think I've ever heard so many good words about anything I've done in my life. Berto saved that. That's going to go on my epitaph, that long list of adjectives. And it's been a pleasure. It really has. No, I'm not going to do a third term. I don't want to scare anybody away, but it's exhausting. It is. But to touch on something that Berto said early in his homage. This it needn't be Terry to be next commissioner. If someone has the energy and wants to do it, and take a little bit of your time for the betterment of the league, and has the ability to do this, by all means, let's not. I think it was Phil's when Phil was commissioner, and we were at a place where we were going to basically strong arm somebody who really didn't want to do it because they hadn't done it before. I don't know if it may have even been me. I don't know, but I remember Phil say, "You know what? Let's get someone who's excited to do this, not someone who we're forcing to do it." And Phil took that job, and we've had a really strong run of commissioners for the last several. Where I mean, why I feel like I'm taking my Bill. You won't get this, but my beta test here. Name the last 5 commissioners. I think it was Kramer, Berto, Michael, and Phil. I'm not sure, but we've had an extraordinary run. The reports are great. Each commissioner kind of makes them their own. Add your voice and what you want to do. So I encourage Terry, whoever, don't try to do what's been done. Do your own thing. It doesn't have to be long. It can be short, as long as it gets the job done. But if anyone else wants to be commissioner, or really has the energy and the passion to do this, let's not assume this is going to be Terry. Speak up. Talk to me. Send me an email. Say, hey, you know what? I'm thinking about this, and I want to try it out. I think, or I want to do this again. So, and that's all for me. Thank you all. Thank you for those 2 owners out in virtual, the non-live viewing audience. I appreciate it.
And I'm sure they speak for the many others who I did not necessarily invite to write in. Chief, thank you very much. You've done a great job. I think what maybe we're all asking for is Terry. If Terry wants to be commissioner, if he really wants to be, let's hear from him. I don't think any of us would mean to suggest to take it away from him if he really wants to do it. But yes, somebody, whether it's Terry or anybody else, should step up with enthusiasm and give us confidence we'll have something even halfway as good as what we've had the last 4 years. So let me turn it back over to you real quick, Chief. I think we know what the game of the week here is, Sponge, Senators, but lots of games around the league with playoff implications. Walk us quickly through the list of games on the schedule, and we'll take a peek at the lineups for your game and make some predictions.
Okay, so we have the Beavers and Devils, Hams and Boba Fett's, Impact at Giant Killers. We talked about all these, the Mongols and Wheels, the #1 pick, and the Sense of the Sponge. And it's good to have. I mean, it's not good for probably Kevin or I, but it's good to have a division title going head-to-head to be settled week 13. That's great. I wish it was like we were 8-4 going for division titles, so we both make the playoffs regardless. But that's not what's going on here. This game's rated even right now on the site. Kevin's line looks like it's probably set. Again, mine's set unless Cooper doesn't play. He's only getting a 2 spot right now. They're assuming he won't play. I don't know. Kevin's hot. I mentioned in the report. He's the best performing squad in the league right now. He's on top of the rolling average ratings. He was also on top of the CBS.com league power rankings, or power rankings. He was on top this week. I've went with some decent scores. So this, again, I don't really think I can oversell how anxious I am about this. Guys like Alvin Kamara, guys like Joe Mixon, who really look like future studs right now for the Senators. We could have a new bully in the SoCo West. And on the other side, you got LaShawn McCoy and Mark Ingram, who both really had outstanding years. got me this far. DeAndre Hopkins has been unbelievably good. So this thing could come down to, which kicker has that big day. One kicker will have 8 points. The other might have one of those, 14-point games, 17-point games because their offense can't score. I expect this to be a razor-thin game. I'm going confidence. I'm going to predict the Sponge to win this one in a squeaker.
This is going to be a good game. This is a great game of the week. This is what we're here for. Week 13, let's settle it. So, de facto playoff game for the Sponge. And good luck, Chief. I mean, this is why we do this. And every year we drive down to the draft and say, somebody in this car win. Get in there and win for crying out loud. So, good luck. And
Sponge will know by 8 o'clock. Where they'll be there, because they're basically done, and then they got to wait on Joe Mix and the others.
Hey, one key point here as we look at how close this game is forecasted to be. Chief at least has a little bit of an advantage here. If this game ends in a tie, Chief wins. Chief wins the division.
All right, so you're up 1 point already. No, great matchup. Sponge lead the series 19-16 to 1. For those keeping track at home. I'll tell you what, I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, and Chief, you would know this better, being a Patriots fan, although I've had a lot of Patriots on the Killers over the years, but I don't feel like Brady ever lights up the Bills. Right? I don't know. I don't get that sense, but I don't know. Maybe that's
because he's already up by 20 in the second quarter. He doesn't have to.
Yeah, exactly. He usually lights them up too fast and then hands off the second half. So,
but that fate also could befall Phillip Rivers this week too against Cleveland. So in my opinion, I agree with Chief. I think it's going to be a razor thin game. I'm looking like 66, 65. It's all going to come down to the quarterbacks, which, can Cleveland stay in it against the Chargers, and can Buffalo stay in it against Brady? And if Buffalo can stay in it against the Patriots, that certainly opens the door for LaShawn McCoy to put up some points. I think it's going to be a tight game and a good game, and two very good teams.
All right. So good luck, Chief.
I'll take the Sponge, by the way.
All right. Just underscoring real quick the value of the TFFL webcast and our ability to forecast. We were predicting the stretch run and the playoff teams, 3 weeks ago, and I said we'd be in this exact situation, that the Senators were a strong team that was going to get hot and would be facing the Sponge for the title this week. They are. I predicted 3 weeks ago that the Senators would win this game, so I guess I'll stick with that. But nonetheless, Chief, I'm going to be rooting hard for you for a variety of reasons. Selfishly, the Aliens would like to see the Senators lose, and we've got their number one pick next year. So, but I also rooting for my webcast partner and our caravan partner. But yeah, 3 weeks ago, we forecasted this exact scenario. We're definitely going long here. Let's start to wrap up. Let me give you a trivia answer. Again, we're looking for two franchises with the fewest lifetime winning seasons prior to this year, so through 19 years. There are two franchises.
We talked utility. I put the same two teams up there.
Everybody's got we got Beavers and Mongols for somebody. Beavers and Mongols, Mongols and Sponge. Chief, who do you have?
Mongols, Sponge.
Mongols and Sponge. Okay. There are two teams tied with only 5 lifetime winning seasons in 19 seasons. The Slippery Beavers. I always like to get our guest into the trivia question.
Yeah, I thought that.
And Chief made the point earlier that I think it was Chief that said the Beavers have been dominating their division. They have fairly recently, but I think if you go back and look, I think their first 10 years were losing seasons. And you've also had, Bill.
We've had some strategic changes since then.
Yeah. The other franchise is the Boba Fats.
What?
Believe it or not, 5 winning seasons.
Wow.
So 1 point each if you got the Beavers or the Fats. I think
The Mongols
Wait,
wasn't
did
an
you use
answer.
the Fats? Sorry. It's not the Mongols.
Somehow the Mongols
Fats
was not an
and-
answer.
the Mongols is not an answer.
Oh my lord.
I knew that was too simplistic, but
For the record, the Mongols have only 6 winning seasons, and the Beavers and the Fats both will have winning seasons. When this season is done, they will end up tied with the Mongols. Next year, the Mongols would be part of that answer.
Wow.
Okay.
so everyone. So who got one on that? I got one.
Berto and the guest.
They needed it.
Represent.
So what that does is that brings our overall trivia standings to Chief still leads with.
Yep. You froze up there. Say that again. Phil?
Chief still leads. ...
All right,
You
did we
might
lose
still
you?
be frozen up.
Somebody froze up. The stick freeze up.
Oh, you did.
You
I did.
froze up, Phil.
Now we're good to go.
All right, I didn't mean to freeze up. I was sorry. I was giving you the rundown.
Yes.
Chief
Damn
still
it.
leads by 1 over me. I'm ahead 1 by Berto, but the guest is catching up.
So wait, what are the numbers? Who's got what?
And for Berto or for Chief, 15 for me, 14 for Berto, and 12 for the guest.
Tightening up.
Chief, Hank, Berto, guest.
Really tight. I guess staying as archives really paid off for you.
One last topic here, real quick. I would normally turn to Chief for rants and reminders. I know the one thing that you may want to clear up with Bill's help is our new rule on free agent signings after the end of the regular season.
Well, I think you just said it. The rule had been discussed, I think, on the ballot for at least 2 years, possibly longer. And actually, I thought until I looked at it earlier this week, I thought it was strictly IR picks. But owners can use playoff teams can use FA and IR picks as long as they're in the playoffs. The caveat being, whoever you pick up is not a keeper candidate. They go back into the draft pool. So if you get a guy hurt and you have an IR picks, you can replace him, but that guy's off your roster when the season's over.
And there are no bonus picks that you have to roll over existing free agent or IR picks into the playoffs, which forces a tough decision this week. Do you go and use your remaining picks, or do you hold on to one, which
Sure.
you may or may not end up getting to use?
I don't have that decision to make.
I can tell you that's the Beavers' plan. We have 1 IR left for a kicker or for whatever, just in case.
Smart move. Okay, Chief. Any other rants or reminders?
We have Cowboys and Indians Thursday night. We'll have Jock Dawson going for the Senators, so we'll get that started off. You know what I've read a lot of in the last 24 hours or so is these great peons, these great odes, and everybody coming to the defense of Eli Manning because he got benched. Okay. I don't want to sound too jaded as an owner who was counting on Eli Manning to do something for me this year, which he didn't. But Eli Manning has played well enough to get his team to 2-9. That's how well Eli Manning's played. I don't understand what the Giants owe him, because he has some kind of consecutive streak, which is like 6 years behind Brett Favre's. Who gives a shit? You're not going anywhere. Your quarterback's certainly not playing well enough to win games for you. So does it really matter if they would win 1 game for the rest of the season with Eli, or 0 with Davis Webb, or 0 with some combination of Geno Smith and Davis Webb? No. Stop this pity party for Eli. He has been mediocre for the last decade. You know?
I'm sorry. I got to disagree with this.
Go ahead.
Eli Manning, I mean, you listen to New York sports talk radio. Eli Manning means a lot to local fans. And I respect him as an Eagles fan, but who is the garbage behind him that you have? Geno Smith, really? You're going to play Geno Smith? Why? Why are you going to play Geno Smith? This guy is.
That would be my point.
But why play Eli? You're not going to playoffs.
Bench him for Geno?
Why are you going to see what Geno Smith has when you know Geno Smith is a piece of garbage? Play Eli out.
Yes.
Let him go out in class. Go out as a classy organization. Don't go out as a fucking low-rent, shitty organization. Go out as the New York Giants.
Yeah. Geno Smith sucked with the Jets. The list of people who've sucked with the Jets that have played pretty well somewhere else is very, very long. I'm not a Geno Smith believer, but I do know that Eli Manning's not going to be a New York Giant in 2018. So why not get a head start? Why not see if he's worth keeping around, or if you got to make a big free agent play for Kirk Cousins or Tyrod Taylor or whomever? You see what you have in your roster. You're not going anywhere with Eli. Anyway, the fact is,
I said about you, Chief back. I'm just kidding.
You know what? It's just that whatever the performance and who's going to win games or whatever, it's just classless. The way they handled it was classless.
Yeah. You know, Berto,
I agree with that.
all those things on that list, I don't think compassionate was on there. So I'm not really worried about it.
I did miss that. I forgot that one. That should have been on there.
You know, I don't understand why everyone's feeling bad for Eli. Eli will be fine. You know, he'll be fine.
Yeah, Eli's got 2 Super Bowl rings and a bunch of money to go sit on, and he's fine. But he deserves better from the Giants. He did a lot for that franchise. And for Geno Smith, the narrative is wrong. It's wrong.
The narrative was wrong the day he was drafted into the league.
Very
He fucked up his narrative when he refused to go to San Diego.
And then punching out a lineman, you know, a lot of things wrong with him.
He'll be in the Hall of Fame 5 years.
No,
6 years.
Bullshit.
Anyway.
Canadian
If
Hall
he goes
of
to the
Fame?
Hall of Fame, I'm burning the fucking thing down.
He'll be in the Hall of Fame. He's got 2 Super Bowls.
Eli Manning goes to the Hall of Fame.
Arena
I'm burning
League
it
Hall
down.
of Fame?
Put Vinny Testaverde in the Hall
Sure.
of Fame then.
He's probably going to get in someday.
I'd rather see a guy like like a Canadian Football League quarterback who won 9 titles, like the guy who won this year, going to the Hall of
Doug
Fame.
Flutie.
Eli Manning.
Dieter Brock.
Well, Chief, I guess you're sort of on an island. It sounds like with the Eli rant, but I do
I'm
agree
not
with you.
saying the Giants could have handled it better. Of course, they could have handled it better. But I just don't understand why this whole pity party we're having for Eli. You know, I don't.
I think part of it is the Giants have been fucking everything up, and they got an idiot coach, and they're not communicating things well. Their press conferences suck. This guy doesn't know what he's doing.
I think we know.
It's a whole culmination of things, right? And I think the Eli thing, when they have shitty quarterbacks behind Eli, who they're trying to see what they have when it's garbage, and everyone knows that, is just a facade of ineptitude.
Yeah, look over here. There's something else instead of look at Ben McAdoo, who's terrible, and Jerry Reese, who is terrible. They all need to go. And Eli can go too, fine. But don't put it on him.
McAdoo did not make this decision did not come from anyone except Mara. They're not going to make this decision without getting his blessing on it. Especially,
But Chief, I want to just echo what you said. Eli does not get a pass from me for when he came out into the NFL trying to dictate where he goes. There's a draft. This is how the league works and how it ensures parity as best as it can. You don't get to dictate where you go just because your last name is Manning. Fuck you.
Okay, but in the grand scheme of things, in everything he's done with his career, I agree that didn't sit well with me either when it happened. But it's a rather minute thing for somebody who's been a stand-up professional in the league for as long as he has and has played as many games consecutively as he has. I think that's a minor issue.
For what he's done for the Giants, I agree with you. They did not treat him well there.
I'm just happy we could rant. I'm happy that we could rant on Chiefs rant tonight.
Yes.
The counter rant.
All right, let's wrap up. I'm curious to see just how long we went tonight, but this has been a very good webcast. Bill, thank you very much.
Now we're
As we said, we'll have you back in the off season as the draft gets closer to take a fresh look at all these guys.
Very pleased to contribute. And again, my thanks to Chief as our steadfast commissioner these many years and looking best on new stewardship.
Bravo, Chief.
All right. And I don't know what's causing the feedback here. We'll try to sort that out next week. But good luck in the meantime. Lots of big games for everybody here on the panel. Lots of big games for people at home. Last week of the regular season.
Uh-oh. Is it me? It's stick.
Yeah, that's sick.
That stick hung?
Yeah.
Well.
Take care, everybody. Good luck. See you next week.
So long, folks.
Nice work.